Yep. And and speaking of defense and everything else being privatized, Palantir, our favorite terrorist high tech company that is now developing pre-crime. You remember Minority Report, that movie Minority Report?
Yes.
Okay, minus the psychics, or maybe they got a couple psychics, I don't know. But they're now using they're talking about AI is going to be able to predict if you're going to commit a crime, and we'll arrest you before you commit the crime. And then we're going to say, hey,
Hey,
we prevented this crime. Prove that you prevented this crime. You haven't committed a crime, but you're not going to go pay for a crime you haven't committed, but that maybe you could have committed.
but
That's
now look,
insane.
everybody is going Google over AI,
Oh
right?
yeah.
But AI is nothing different than the stupid computer and the software that runs it. Garbage in equals garbage out.
Yep.
And I use them all. I use Perplexity, Claude, DeepSeek, Chat GPT. I try not to use Gemini. I hate Google. Um, and what else? Grok. So I use them all for different things. Copilot. I use them all for different things. But one thing I do is that I use them all three of them for one thing and see the different responses I get,
Oh
right?
yeah.
But then what you have to do is you have to correct it because it's wrong.
Oh yeah.
You have to correct AI because AI is wrong. Garbage in equals garbage out. And you have to get rid of the garbage from what it produces. Now, if you're not able, if you don't have the background or knowledge enough about your particular field to do the garbage out thing, then the world is terribly being
Oh yeah.
misled.
Absolutely. Yeah, all you got to do is, in any of these, you type in any issues on Ukraine, and all you get is Western propaganda, regurgitated Western
Yeah,
propaganda. And people got this in their heads, oh, the media may be wrong, but AI is going to be right. Why? It's pulling in for that media.
that's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And also from the rest of the internet that has been sanitized. I can't get 15 looks from from my ex account. I get zero, even though I had 100,000 supporters
Ooh,
on Facebook. Can't get anything from Facebook, right? So what has AI ingested? It has ingested sanitized versions of most of everything,
yep.
and we have to understand that.
Yep. And most people don't. AI is now the prime set of platforms to push propaganda into people because they've got all the masses convinced
Yes.
that, oh, well, it's artificial intelligence. It's smarter than us. It's going to tell me the truth. No, no, it's not. But people
No, it's
believe
going to
this.
tell you what it's been told to tell you.
Exactly. They just changed the door-to-door salesman. They put a new mask on him. It's a new guy. It's the same voice telling you the same crap, but it's a new face. It's the new guy. It's the honest guy. Yeah, yeah. It's
So anyway, let me get back to what I wanted to say before our time runs out. Um, and that is that like so I'm thinking like, where's my next stop? Um, and and I'm looking at the Confederation of Sahel
yeah.
States because the fight is definitely there.
Oh yeah.
I recently did a presentation for University of Hodeida. Where is that? That's in Yemen. I said, oh my goodness, I could teach the students in Yemen.
Yep.
But you know what? But be honest, they would be teaching me about a lifetime of resistance.
Yep.
So I said, okay, well, let's see if it's possible to get into for maybe a semester, maybe longer than a semester at University of Hodeida. And then, of course, there's always Russia, you know?
Yep.
So, but you have a familial relationship with Russia
Yeah.
that, say, somebody like me wouldn't have. So, give me some advice. What are your thoughts?
Russia's a good. Well, first of all, I'll just say this. Yeah, you're left, I'm right, and that doesn't mean anything, because the reality is, first of all, the reality is almost every single government's mixed economy. They can't survive any other way. Extreme
Right.
of either one doesn't work. Second of all, it's a fake dialectic. I mean, let's be realistic.
Yes,
Everybody's
it's very
fixed.
fake.
Everybody's fixed. It's left, it's right. But why you can talk to
That's
a
right.
left and a rightist can talk to each other is because they're both, well, it's a bad word these days. Nationalist, not ultra nationalist, racist, and all that, but nationalist. I love my country. Patriot's now the
Yes,
word to use. But
that's
either
right.
way,
That's right.
patriot, nationalist, nativist, whatever you want to call it, it's the guys that go, hey, we're localist. We don't build into this globalist. That's the real guy.
Yes.
Like it's the financial,
Yes.
super financial globalist class that go, we're citizens of the world. In other words, you're all meat and we're your owners. Kiss
Yes.
our arse and
That's
maybe
right.
we'll lift
That's
you
right.
up too. And then
That's
everybody else that
right.
goes, well, I don't want to be like that. I want to be me. I want my society to be
That's
me.
right.
And we
That's
don't want to
right.
just be
And
bio units.
I show a video to my students of, now I'm teaching, they've got me teaching international business, but the same video applies about the universality of Western values,
Oh
or
yeah.
the so-called universality, and it's not. And Alexander Dugin in this video is saying we fight because we want to have the right to be Russian. And so
Yeah.
I say to my students, how many of you are willing to fight to be who you are and not just many clones of them?
Oh yeah.
So those are the people who are the real revolutionaries in today's world. The people who are ready to fight to be themselves. And that's who I want to be with. And I don't care if it's none of the left anymore, because I say, I'm so far left, I'm right now, because all of my friends are on the right. And so they're the ones who are looking at, well, the Constitution means something. And I agree with
Yeah.
them. The US Constitution is a special document that the African American story is about being able to be included
Yeah.
under the protections of the Bill of Rights of the United States Constitution. That's our fight. And to say, okay, now it doesn't mean anything. It's like Dr. King is rolling over in his grave,
Oh
and
yeah.
everybody else, it's been our historic fight. So
Yeah.
now, who else on the planet is fighting the patriotic fight?
Yeah.
I say that there's a distinction between nationalism, because it can go too far,
Right.
but patriotism is love of your country.
Yeah.
And so now you love your country and you want your country to thrive, not just survive. There's no sin in that. There's
Right.
no shame in that. And I want the best for the United States, but it appears to me that the people of I'm like by myself. It's not like by myself, but I mean that
Yeah. Yeah.
we can't even get 30%, which is considered critical mass, in order to change things in the United States, to protect those things that we hold of value, like the Bill of Rights. We can't do it. We haven't done it. I've dedicated my entire life to it. I don't want to spend the next 20 years of my life trying to fight that fight. I want to enjoy and fight with people who also have critical mass in fighting that fight.
If you look at it, if you look at the U.S., the modern U.S., it's a generic cutout. All the cities look the same. Everything is exactly the same. Texans aren't Texans
Yes,
anymore. They're just generic Americans. Connecticut's not Connecticut's, just generic Americans. Everything's just
right.
generic. And then they went and expanded it. Okay, Europeans, you're not Germans anymore. You're not French. There's no
Yeah,
flavor. Just you got to
right.
be. It's great for corporations. We only have to produce one of each. We don't have to
Right.
produce it. Africa is just going to be generic Europe with just darker skin. Asia is going to be generic Europe with just a different eye
Right.
cut. It's just going to be generic. Everybody's generic. there's no interest, man. You travel different places. You want different cultures. There's a lot of strength in actually having unique cultures, unique everything. It's
Exactly,
bad for a
because that's
corporation.
the human experience.
Yeah,
When we traveled, when we migrated on a global scale at the dawn of Homo sapiens, we became different peoples.
yeah,
And as a result of that, responding to the situation of the earth and the land that we inhabited, things changed.
yeah.
We changed. And there's beauty in that because
Oh
that's a part of nature. There's beauty in that. I don't want to go to Russia to have a burger, a McDonald's hamburger, because in the first place, it's not real meat.
yeah.
But
Well, then Russia's
I
actually
don't
meat,
want,
but still,
so
yeah.
I was happy when McDonald's got bought out in Russia. The Russian people don't know how lucky they are that all of their food is real food
Oh
and
yeah,
not the GMO
oftentimes.
stuff that comes out of a lab.
Yeah,
They don't
oftentimes.
know.
How boring, tourism. If every country or actually every city, everywhere you go, it's the same thing. It's the same, Walmart, Kmart, Show Mart,
That's
whatever
right.
Mart. Yeah, it's the same. Everybody dresses the same. It's like, just the human. You're right. The human experience just dies. Everybody looks like they
Yes.
came out of a factory.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing, but they have a master plan, those globalists, they do.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And they are advancing their master plan. And I mean, I don't even see little victories anymore. There was a time when, 2016 Trump was a different Trump than
Oh,
today.
absolutely.
And that was a little victory because it knocked the other side off of their game. And then they had to cheat to put Biden in so they could make up the 4 years that they lost under non-globalist, anti-globalist Trump. But this is what I've always said, just from my observation of political leadership. When it comes back, the comeback is never the same. And so I always said that Trump would come back as a rump.
Yep.
And he is exactly a rump. He's
Yep.
the rump of the Trump that could have been, but isn't any longer.
Yep.
And it's all about profiteering. I've never seen such corruption. I thought it was impossible to outdo the Clinton corruption. Trump has
Hold my beer.
outdone the Clinton corruption. And I don't see people as outraged. I'm outraged
Yeah.
about it.
I think most people are
But
so
what do we
tired.
do? I mean, I just have to move and live someplace else.
Yeah.
And so it's you're happy in Russia, but you have background, you have history there. Could
I'm also a
somebody
Russian
like
citizen too, and so
what?
I've got Russian
What did you
citizenship
say?
too. I've got Russian citizenship too now. So yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Were you like what's her name? She got it directly from Putin.
No, no,
The
no.
other US.
Oh, there was a bunch that I've gotten directly from Putin. No, I got mine
Really?
well before all of this started. So I went the hard route before laws got changed. So yeah, it was
Oh, before the law got changed.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah. So now
much
the law is
much easier, much
the
easier.
law has made it so much easier and so much more attractive. And and Russia is so big that you could just move someplace and form community, or
Oh
form
yeah.
a community, an international community, or form community with the locals, and sort of blend in and in terms of the values, the shared values, because ultimately that's what it's all about.
Oh yeah.
Even with the left right thing, is not left and right. is wrong and right. And I mean, we're confronted now with the demons who think that the human body is for their cannibalism or for their experimentation or for, I mean, I've just never seen anything like this before. And perhaps it always existed, but now it's sort of everywhere. And the things that we're learning about what our so-called leadership class was doing, they're misleaders. So it's our political misleadership class. And so everybody who's anybody, if we know their names, they're a part of it. So
Oh yeah.
I don't know if we're even able to come outside of that misleadership class for new leaders. I don't know. I just knew one thing, that the United States needs another revolution.
No.
The United States, the system that currently exists from top to bottom, needs to be swept aside, and we need to go back to a virgin Bill of Rights and start all over again.
Yep.
That's what I would say.
And yeah, it's not going to happen because the people in power are never going to allow anybody. I mean, for God's sake, well, okay, I'm not going to say never going to happen. Let me phrase it. That's not going to happen willingly by the people in power. They're never going
No,
to. That's why they'll never have a constitutional convention, because if you have a constitutional convention, you don't know which way it's going to go. You lose control.
that's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
And that's the last
That's
damn
right.
thing.
That's right.
I mean, and you're right. Trump is, and he's like on steroids, making up for the 4 years he wasn't doing the bidding. Okay, so now
Right.
I got 4 years to
That's
do
right.
8 years worth of stuff to get you back online.
That's
Uh,
right.
it's
That's
insane.
exactly right. That's right. And so that's where we are. That is the US dilemma. So this week, I've got to spend a few hours preparing a presentation about the future of the US. These are some people from basically from South Asia who are interested in what the future of the US looks like politically. And I just don't, you give me something to give them, because I don't have anything to give them that's hopeful. Tell me.
Hopeful, no. Well, maybe hopeful if you look at it in a way. Um, who was I talking with yesterday? Let's see, I was talking with Cameron McGregor, and I was talking. Was it Cameron that said this? 1 second. Uh, let's see. Um, no, it was Van, let's see, it was Vance, not President Vance, Vice President Vance. Vance, but just
JD.
he said the U.S. is going to turn into Brazil with sweatshops. So I guess some of the industry will stay home because it'll be, the labor costs will be even less than in other countries. But that's, I mean, it's going to lead to a collapse. You can't keep up
Now,
what you got.
if you that, isn't that what the globalist idea for the United States lose, they still win,
Oh yeah.
because the idea is that the United States pulls back its military footprint around the world to the Western Hemisphere.
How lucky
Okay,
the Latin Americans
so
are.
that and you know what? It's going to go back to the way it used to be with the gunboat diplomacy and all of that, which was rejected by Kennedy. So it's still going to be bad with no financial sovereignty.
Oh yeah.
So multipolarism without multipolar financial sovereignty is still the same old globalism.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But the crash is here. There was a great saying I read. People who live through a collapse don't realize they're living through a collapse. They think it's just localized problems that'll get solved. You got to step away from it, look at the big picture, go, yeah, that's a collapse. That's not a
Yeah,
pothole. You just went off the cliff.
yeah.
That's
But you see, the problem with the collapse, the planned demolition, which is what we're experiencing, is that there's also the planned solution
Oh, yeah.
given by them. So the ones who are planning the demolition are also planning the solution and the replacement. That's where I have a problem, because I would like to be meeting with people, or I would like to know that there are people who are already planning the replacement for us.
Oh, yeah.
It's
You,
not happening that I know about.
you know, whenever they start talking about the solution, I start getting worried. Yes, we've lived through a few of the Indian question back in was it
Yeah,
1881? You know, bullet for the braves, the saber for the women and the children. Yeah, and how to solve
yeah.
the American Indian issue, or the final solution. They always have a solution. And it's never a good,
But
it's never good for the rest of humanity. It's good for them. But
that's right. It's good for them. That's right. But now here's Stas. I have to admit something to you. I mean, I've made a lot of admissions since we've been talking here. I'm making one more admission to you. I'm sick and tired of the death toll. I'm sick and tired of the death toll in the SMO.
oh yeah.
I'm sick and tired of seeing human beings just, I'm sick and tired of it. I don't want to see us killing each other. I know that there has to be, as a result of what has taken place, but we have to find a solution for justice for the people who have orchestrated this. And if without a solution, maybe I need to write more, because I didn't really come up with a solution when I was talking about the world being brought to the brink of destruction by two war criminals. But we have to have some kind of global some global justice procedure to offer, because otherwise, if we don't make the suggestion, then their solution becomes the solution. And that
Oh yeah.
solution is, like you say, is for them, it's not for us.
It's the worst thing if these people who've orchestrated this conflict, who've done everything to get everybody involved in this conflict, at the end of the day get to walk away from it. Wash their hands,
Yes.
change their shoes from the bloody shoes they've got on, and just get to walk away with it, with the money they've earned, the destruction they leave behind. And that's going to be horrible, because I mean and unfortunately at this moment, at least for DC, it looks like the DC criminal gangs up there are going to get to walk away from it again. You know, they may
Yes.
not be able to walk away from Iran because they've gotten so deep into it, and maybe they'll get caught there. But yeah, I mean, and that's what I'm afraid of, is they're going to get to walk away from yet another disaster that they've created.
Yes.
I mean, you look across the board, the disaster after disaster after disaster. Now, Afghanistan
Yes.
was a disaster they walked away from. Vietnam, Panama. Um,
Yes.
you got Yugoslavia, its breakup. You've got, I mean, it's just the list just gets huge. I mean, really huge. It just,
That's right. That's right. And that's the sadness and the outrageousness of our human condition, is that for some reason only a few of us are able to see. Only a few of us have the vision to see beyond the immediate.
yeah,
And as a result of that, not enough of us are pressing for solutions that are actual solutions to the problems that we're facing today.
absolutely, absolutely. And too
So
many,
that's why in the end, I want to go and live at least some of my life in a place where the people understand, they have the vision, they have the fight, they understand that they must write their future. And I want to be there with them, at least for a moment, to experience that.
yeah. Each country has its pluses and minuses, obviously.
Yes.
But Sahel is definitely on the very leading edge because they're like, but even Madagascar, minus the Russian assistance, they did it by themselves. They finally said, French be gone. They sprayed French be gone all over the place. And by the way,
Uh-huh. Yes.
one of the tankers that was grabbed by a joint French and British little excursion, pirate excursion, was a tanker. It was, I mean, when they say they're carrying Russian oil, it's from Russia, but it's not Russian oil anymore because it's already paid for, right? The oil gets paid for. Whenever you're pumping from any country, you pay
Yes.
for it the moment you show up. Not it's not a pay you later plan. It's a pay up front plan. And that oil was heading to Madagascar. So, the
Oh,
French have an interest there. They just lost the ownership, the
yeah.
neo-colonial ownership of Madagascar. They're not happy. So yeah, they went after a tanker full of oil that was heading for Madagascar. Go figure.
Wow.
Coincidence? I think not. But but these more and more of the British lost their empire. They really did, but the French never did. But they are now,
Right.
which is why, by the way,
They
Macron's
are
so
now.
angry at Putin and hates Russia so much because they're watching their and without it, France just collapses economically.
Well, of course, and everyone knows. I posted maybe half a year ago. France is nothing without Africa.
Oh, of course.
So they've got to steal from Africa. They've been stealing for the last 500 years.
Oh
So
yeah.
one day they're going to wake up and they can't steal any longer. And then they'll find out what it really feels like to be a Frenchman.
Well, if there's any Frenchmen left at that point, yeah, France is not the France they used to be. If,
That's right.
and again,
Well, in World War II, France was Vichy France, right?
oh
So,
yeah.
it wasn't very much then, too.
Well, I'm not against immigration, but it's got to be smart immigration. Okay, who do we need? We need more doctors. Okay, let's get some doctors, and it's got to be in groups. You got to bring people in
But
digestible
you
groups.
know
That
what? But now, wait a minute. In terms of more doctors, so in the United States, we have an artificially minimalist
oh yeah,
attitude about doctors.
oh yeah, keeps the price
So
up.
we will import, though. Now, let me tell you. So there are no student loans in South Asia because everyone who is talented, they get, if they go to public school, they get their tuition, their room and board and everything paid for. And then those are the low cost doctors, the cheap labor still in the paradigm that come to the United States. Whereas in the United States, if a student wants to become a doctor, the opportunities are artificially limited because they're favoring the H-1B visa process. So we have got to eliminate all of that.
Oh yeah,
And our immigration policy should be an America First policy, or a patriotic policy, where we promote the people who were born and raised and paid the taxes, and their ancestors paid the taxes in the United States. If they have the talent to become whatever it is they want to be, allow them to be that, and
yeah,
don't
yeah.
settle them with this artificial student loan and from that debt, because that then is prohibitive in terms of the ability to the inducement afterwards is you're going to pay a U.S. kid who has a student loan to pay, or you're going to pay the South Asian kid who has no student loan and will take the job for half the price.
True.
I
And
agree
who
with you.
and who
I agree
benefits at
with
the
you
end of the day?
100%.
Who benefits at the end of the day? The big banks. The big
Absolutely.
banks. Because they're the ones doing the student
Absolutely.
loans. They're the one. Well, yeah, the
That's right.
administrator of these universities live it up too. Not badly,
That's right.
but it's the big banks. It's all fine.
That's right.
It's all fine.
That's
Just
right.
like
But and then you look at the countries that have the best social mobility, and those are the countries in which education is valued.
Oh yeah.
So in the United States, they don't want us educated. And so therefore, we're not being educated properly. The
Yep.
highest STEM graduates, India for such a long time, was graduating more scientists than anybody else on the planet. Now, the United States should do that. And so, but if your idea is to outsource everything, including your national security, then nothing means anything.
Yep.
Nothing means anything.
Yep.
Except everything is a profit center.
Yep. Yep.
Everything. Your health, or actually your sickness, is a profit center for somebody. Your political activism becomes a profit center for somebody. And so activism doesn't mean anything anymore, because what are you being active for?
Yeah. Well,
this thing is going to happen.
If you look at the private prisons, they're making money as long as people stay in them. So they will come up with any reason to find a way, illegally, you would think, because they're private corporations, to add time to the people's on it. And now take that bigger, and you start to look at the whole society as just one private prison.
That's right.
We're going to smack you down every single time because.
What does Alex Jones call it? Prison Planet?
Yeah, yeah.
Even though I'm not endorsing Alex Jones, but bottom line, Prison Planet.
It is. It is. Well, not all of it, thankfully, not yet, anyways. But the powers that got it going in the European Union, U.S., they sure so would like to spread it everywhere else. That's right. You pay to read, pay to breathe, pay for everything.
Pay to everything. That's right. I have one more thing, and then I have to go. My office is calling me. But I want to let you know that pro-Palestinian activists, pro-Russia activists are not welcome in the United Kingdom.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if you are familiar with the case of Dan Kovalik, how they took his DNA.
Yeah.
I mean, this is an invasive procedure. They gave him the ETA visa, temporary visa. But if this is the kind of thing that happens, then nobody should go to the UK who is pro-Russia and we're not pro-Russia or pro-Palestine. We're pro-justice.
Yep.
We're pro-justice. And so now you can't even be pro-justice and travel in the world.
Yep.
That's what I wanted to say.
True. True. It's the truth. Absolutely the truth.
But I hope I can come back to Russia.
Come on. Well, yeah. Come while the weather's good, unless you want winter. I mean, a lot of people want winter.
I don't care about I don't care about the weather. I like it when it's cold, because here I'm literally perspiring. It's so hot.
I like the summer. I'm more of a summer person. Yeah.
Okay. I don't mind the winter.
I make it through winter.
A Russian winter, a good Russian winter.
Come around November, my approach is 4 more months to spring. 3 more months to spring. Yeah, that's
okay.
So, but I don't mind. I mean, I tolerate it pretty well. I'm not cold averse, but I prefer green. I like green's a good color. It's flowers, green grass, green leaves. It's a good color.
Okay, much love to your family.
Same.
Much love to you. Much love to all of Russia. And let me go hit the grind. I've got some students that we're gonna send to Australia, so I gotta go select the students that will go worthy of going.
Thank you. Cheers.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.